Hey guys, it's Caitlin with Keeping Country, and so on today's video we have something a little different for you guys. So where I live, we do this festival called the Swamp Cabbage Festival, and it's been going on for a very long time. I do not remember how many years, but I will find out and tell y'all later on. But we have the Swamp Cabbage Festival, been going up there for the weekend since I was a baby. It's just something I've grown up around. It's one of my favorite town festival things that we have, and so we always do have like little booths and sell stuff. So usually we do funnel cakes. I'm not sure if we're doing those this year, but we always do these swamp cabbage fritters. And so that is kind of what this video is going to be about. We're going to be cutting the swamp cabbage today, and then eventually we're going to make the fritter mix, and we're just going to bring you along for the entire festival and getting ready for it. So there will be a lot of information in this video. If you don't really know what swamp cabbage is, then keep watching this video. But let's go ahead and get everything ready, and so we can start cutting the swamp cabbage, and there will be a lot of information. I do have my uncle, my brother, and my grandpa, so y'all guys can see them. They're really going to be doing the work. I'm just going to be here kind of videoing it and showing you the process of how everything is done. But let's go ahead and get into this video, and if you are not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video.
Here's all those bromance cows, Caleb, that we were talking about.
So this one right here was too tall, but there's still edible cabbage on the inside. So we make sure we cut it really low, so then that way we're not cutting into the edible cabbage. But there's still a lot of good edible cabbage in here, so that's why we want to still be able to harvest it if we can. It is a little higher than what we are usually used to cut. Actually cut a little high, but I guess it'll be good to kind of show one too that needs cut a little high. But when you cut them too high, this one's just barely starting to, but it'll start to ring. You'll start to see the layers. So after you cut off all that bitter, you get inside to the inside where the edible cabbage is, and it'll start to make these little rings. That's the way you know you're into the good eating cabbage.
So a second ago you were talking about the bitter?
So yes, underneath, I'm going to show you right here on this cabbage. So this is a really scrawny one right here, but we basically can show you where all the edible parts are. We cut it, if it's about this size height, we end up cutting it about right at my waist. I'm 6'2", but we cut it right at my waist. That way I know anything underneath here is non-edible cabbage. It'll be what we call the bitter. Inside that bitter Some people like to boil it down. We just leave it out here for the cows to eat, so that way it gets reused and repurposed for something. But there's about, I tell everybody, there's about a 12-inch to 16-inch cylinder inside of this heart, and that's the actual edible cabbage. So a lot of this is going to be wasted. Only this, basically this part right here, is going to be actual edible cabbage. So everything else underneath that is bitter or just waste, and at the top, the fronds, everything else is just waste on top as well.
And we'll show cutting it up and getting it all, like all the bitter and stuff, and just keeping the good edible part later on, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna go over, and whenever we get back home, we're gonna show you how to cut it up, but also how to put it into what we use for our fritter mix. So we'll show you that as well. And
I couldn't remember whenever I was talking to him earlier, how many years has the Swamp Cabbage Festival been going on?
It's been 50 years. This is the 50-year anniversary, and we've been doing it since my dad was in high school, right out of high school, and he's 68 now, and I've been doing it since I was a little kid, just like Kaylin and Lane. They've been doing it since they were little, and my brother and everybody else in the family has done this at least once or twice during the year to get ready for the festival. But I've been continuing on doing the fritters at least for the last 15 years. So every year we pretty much do this once a year, or only during holidays and family events. But we like to keep the tradition going. So.
And like I said earlier, we'll take you along for the whole festival and show you the fritters, the mix, like the whole entire thing. But we got to get them all cut so we can have our fritter mix.
That's right. Stay tuned. So look, this is a big chunk of bitter right here. This is the end of the cabbage, the bitter end of the cabbage. Inside of here is the actual edible part. These are the fronds that shoot out the top. On the opposite side of that, we have fibers. All we do is run a blade over top of those fiber sides, and we'll peel off the boot. But as if you see here, it's starting to get held on by the bitter, so it doesn't want to let it go. So we have to cut that off to be able to release this part of the boot, and then it'll just fall off. So this bitter is basically holding the armor of the cabbage on, which are the fronds and the boots, until it's able to be harvested and cooked. But see all that, how it's white like there? That's all bitter. So we're gonna eventually cut that off. But it gets down probably, look, I'll take this little piece off right here, and this little piece off right here. I don't have my pocket knife, I only got my razor blade on me. But inside here, it's gonna start making rings. And inside those rings are the actual edible cabbage that we want to eat, not the bitter part. So just about an inch underneath here, you'll be able to get to edible cabbage. Getting some good video, Caroline?
Yeah.
Had to switch saws.
Well, while you fix that, we can talk a little bit.
Yes.
All right. Well, how many cabbage do you cut per year, like for this festival?
For the festival, we usually cut around 200 to 250. Every year it's been getting less because it's usually just, besides, you know, from you guys helping when you can, it's just usually me and Dad over there. And he's 68 years old, and it's hard for us to cut a lot of them. So for us, we cut about 200 to 250 depending on the availability of the cabbage and where we're able to cut them at. So
this is how many we got so far. We got a lot more to go.
We've got a lot more to go. Hey, but you're helping, so that's gonna make it go by a lot faster. Conveyor belt.
good start.
That was a really good start. 12 in the first, 13 in the first 30 minutes. That the frond usually sticks out of. This opposite side, cut right down that line, cut all them fibers clean, and the rest of it will just fall off. To the bottom here. This one is perfect to show you because this one's just starting to make those little rings around there. And all that is edible cabbage. Good too.
You want to take it?
What you want to see every time, where there's no rings. That way you have a little bit of bitter sitting on the top, on the bottom there, so you can cut that off later. This is a perfect cabbage to store for about 2 or 3 days. It'll stay like this as long as you keep the boots on it. All the cabbage on the inside will be fresh.
Alright, so I hope y'all can hear all this. Hopefully y'all are getting all this information. This is just something that we do all the time. We cut cabbage for like holidays, family events, but the main time we cut it is here for the Swamp Cabbage Festival. And so my brother, his job is to go around and cut like all like the fans off and get them all trimmed up ready for my grandpa and my uncle to go and actually cut the cabbage. And then my job is to get like all the boots off and kind of get the cabbage ready to be put in the Ranger, and I go and I grab them and I put them in the Ranger. But we're gonna keep doing this, and we'll be giving you information kind of just throughout the video, and we'll also show you later on how to make the mix and do all that stuff. So I hope y'all are enjoying this video, and if you are, subscribe, like this video, and put in the comments. Also, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments.
How many? 14. How many have you put in there?
That's the first one.
Oh, 14. Here, you can hand them to me and I'll stack them in there. Does that work?
Yeah. So 26. So these are just easily peeling off here. So I peel the ones that'll easily come. All right, let's take it to the Ranger now. You're good. Alright, so we got 26 in the truck now. We have a few in the Ranger, and it's about 11:15 right now. And we're going to try to get 40 by lunchtime. So that's the goal. So let's keep cutting them.
I feel like I'm having to do it just to
Is that easy to pick up or what?
Who made this for you?
People in Plant City.
Number 50.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, as you can see how this cabbage actually starts to flare up. By this part right here is a big bump starting to be able to create as it gets towards the bottom of the cabbage. At that bump, we usually tend to cut from that bump down to the rest of the end of the cabbage, because we know that everything underneath here is bitter and it's not able to be eaten. So we cut that off, and that's what I'm about to do right now. Cut it off and show you that these boots will start peeling off a lot more easier, instead of right now where you can't really pull, when you go to pull them off, they're stuck together right here. So once I cut this end off here, we'll be able to easily peel off all the rest of these boots and get to what we need to. So I'm going to do that. Now you'll see that when we cut these off, they literally just fall off. You don't have to keep trying to fight with them. Now there's nothing holding them down anymore. Just like your past trials and tribulations, nothing could hold you back anymore. Sell them like this because people want to show their friends. They want to go and cut them up and show their relatives that came from up north. This is what swamp cabbage is. So that way they can still do that same process that we just did, but they just only have to cut a little bit off, you know what I mean? So, but this is exactly how we sell them when we sell them whole. But whenever we cut them up, we want to cut off as much here in the pasture as we can, so then that way all this waste isn't at our house, and we can feed this to the cows. The cows will come by and eat all this wasted boots.
Hey guys, so we are back out here and we are cutting cabbage again today. So yesterday we got like 90, 95, somewhere around there, but we're gonna try to get at least 50 more today. So we'll see how it goes, and let's start cutting more cabbage. 33?
We got 35, I think.
We got
so
35.
So far. And yesterday we got 94.
94?
Yep, 94.
That's good.
Yep. So today we need to get 194.
Okay. We're gonna get 194 today, guys.
As much as we can.
All right, we're gonna move to a different spot.
All right, so this is the, like we said, this is the bitter end of the cabbage. We want to cut this part off so that we can get to the heart and the inside. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this machete and we're going to just start cutting away a little bit at a time until we get to that part that we need to start cutting up into actual edible cabbage. So I'll just basically start chopping some of this off and then show you once we get to the edible cabbage to know what to look for, so you know you can stop cutting it off and you can actually start chopping it up into put into a pot. So all this that I'm taking off right now is not really edible. It can eat it, but it's going to taste bitter tasting. Okay, and you see right there how it likes to hold on? It's going to want to hold on to that bitter piece. So we're just going to cut that off like that, and it falls right off usually.
So basically you just cut it off the end until you can pull them off easily.
Exactly. I know. I can get one. Okay. So now you got it to about this point right here, and all you're gonna keep doing now is with your knife, start to take it off. Okay. And these will just fall off like this. Just cut off this. So now that we got the bitter ends cut off, now all we're going to do is start peeling these boots off individually until we start seeing these rings, and I'll show you exactly how that's going to look. Take it, cut them off. Okay, and now see this part here, see how it breaks off easy like that? That actually is edible cabbage. So we will, if you're able to snap it off with your fingers, we will stick that in the pot to eat. So these little bits and stuff like that will go in the pot usually. But everything else is just excess and waste. As we're getting here towards the inside, all we're gonna do, bring a trash can over here. You can take your knife, cut off the rest of that bitter. going in a circular motion like this. And eventually, as you can see here, on the outside, it's starting to develop little rings. And those are the layers of actual edible cabbage. So that's why I say, whenever we cut these off one at a time, we actually will break them off with our fingers. All that is edible good cabbage. It's a little tougher than the inside, the sweet part, but it's still good.
And then once we get down to like where you can see the rings really good, I'll give a close-up. So you can see like all the rings get smaller. You know, I like it like this, but I don't like it cooked. That's weird, isn't it?
That is weird.
Good. This should be enough to start out with. Count on me. So how many you got to bag up? You said 54, but some of them whole.
Yeah.
So,
I'll tell you exactly as soon as I get my phone.
yeah, that's fine. That's all I'm doing.
Yep.
All right. So now that we've cut off all our bitter and all our excess boots that we want, we're left with the good edible cabbage. Now, to extract that edible cabbage, what we're going to do, we have a cooler here full of ice water and sour orange juice. We've squeezed all the sour oranges in here, and that's to preserve the cabbage so that we dunk that in there, and it will preserve it. It will keep it from turning brown, and that way we're able to keep it fresher longer before we get to cooking it. So now that we've done that, like I said, I just take it off that last boot. That was a pretty hard boot. There's pretty much no edible cabbage on that boot. I'll flick off the rest of it, break off the rest of it. But now all this here is edible right here, what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna take my knife and hold it at an angle, and I'm gonna start rotating it, and all of this cabbage will just fall right into this pot. You really don't have to do too much with your knife. You just kind of got to work the cabbage, and we cut off big chunks of it, and then eventually your knife will actually start to drag on the cabbage. That means that you're getting into tougher cabbage, not the soft part. So we know that this layer right here needs to be removed because it's getting harder. So what we're going to do, just remove that, check and make sure there's no, see, like some little pieces break off. We'll eat those, keep those ones good, but the rest of it, see that, just bends, it doesn't break. So that one's no good no more. Now we're on to the next one. Drag your knife again. Let the big chunks fall. Like I said, you're not really doing too much with your knife. All you're doing is moving the cabbage and letting your knife just stay there and run through the cabbage. Then go ahead, take off another layer, check and make sure. See, there's some big pieces coming off of there, and that's still all good. Still all nice, soft, tender cabbage. Okay, that one's done. Now to this one. And you just keep repeating the process.
So basically, you're gonna have a little bit of cabbage from that. Like, you'd think you'd get a lot more, like good edible cabbage looking at it, but you really don't. You really don't. My dad has always said that you get 2 double handfuls together. If you put your hands together like this and you had cabbage in them, and they'd be overflowing out of the top of your hands. That's basically how he describes about how much cabbage usually is yielded from one cabbage. Now, if you are in a pasture where it's fertilized, it's nice, it's great land, and it's by the water, you know, it's getting a lot of nutrients, and it's growing, it might yield even differently. It might be able to give you more than that. That's the reason why that whenever we do go cut cabbage, we make sure we're going out in a pasture land out in the country, you know, so that way we know we're getting good cabbage. But eventually you're going to start getting here to the middle, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. But you guys have all seen the pond fronds that stem out of these things. Now what does that look like to you? What does that look like? The stalk of a pond frond, right? That's exactly what that is. That's the beginning of it. So in the inside,
all this, the heart is actually surrounded by these. And we will cut these up if they are soft. Like some of them, see how that breaks off? That's still good, but most of them are hard, so we just get rid of them. But some pieces like this, we'll just take the extra and we'll cut them and cut them, cut them until it stops. And if we can't cut it no more, we know it's not soft. So right there, it's kind of hard to go through. I'm gonna get rid of the rest of that. Now, for demonstration purposes, this took a little longer, but cutting each cabbage up after we have cut it out of the pasture, and now we're cutting it up into pieces to be able to make into fritter mix. Each one usually takes typically between 2 to 3 minutes. So we have around 160 cabbage here, and 2 to 3 minutes per cabbage. It ended up taking a long time, you know what I mean? So, and actually if you look here, like I was telling you on the pond fronds, how the stalks were like this. What does this part look like? It looks like a fan. It looks like the actual front, the fans, the cabbage fans. So this is actually what stems from the inside of the cabbage that makes that whenever it grows out, it will grow out to be a cabbage fan, just like this. But this is actually what the inside of it looks like. But all that will actually turn into mush for after we cook it. So
we don't cut a whole lot of that in there because it turns mushy.
Exactly. That's the reason why we don't put any of that in there, because it gets all mushy, and we don't like any mushy cabbage. We want good, thick cabbage that is sweet. It has a nice crunch to it. Exactly.
And so that's what we get from one of these. And you sell them whole cabbages, and then we'll also cut them up and sell them up like in bags ready to cook. And then we will also have our fritter mix, because he will be selling the swamp cabbage fritters at the festival on Saturday. And if we don't sell it on Saturday, we'll have them on Sunday.
That's right. So y'all come get them all done Saturday, so we don't have to come on Sunday. All right.
But we're not really probably going to do much explaining, because like he said, it's going to take a long time. So I'm probably just going to set the video up, and we're going to keep repeating the process.
Salt pork or white bacon, and it's the fatty part of a hog. And first off, this is the outside skin or the rind of it, and you have to cut that off first. And what we're going to do is we're going to fry it down. Actually, maybe a pan over here. I got a pan already there with some cooking down, and that's what we're going to add to the swamp cabbage for seasoning. Make it taste good. And then we're going to add some Everglades seasoning also to it. But just a second, I'll get this cut off here and then I'll show you. Cut it up in chunks and then fry it out. That's some I've already cut there in that other pot. That I'll switch blades because those are a little sharper. So we just cut it in lengths like this, and then good to have always have a sharp knife. Get your fingers out of the way.
So how many years have you been cutting swamp cabbage and doing all this?
67 years old, and I've been cutting since my teens, probably since I was 12, 13 years old. My dad cut it for years, and I learned from him. And I can't think straight to do the math right now, so 50 years at least, 50 years or more. I was in the fire department, LaBelle Fire Department for years, and the LaBelle Fire Department, we did as a fundraiser. We had a booth at Barron Park during the Swamp Cabbage Festival, and we did swamp cabbage fritters for many years and sold them, you know. And then after I got out of the fire department, then we started, Renee, my wife, has the honey store, or had the honey, Harold Curtis Honey Company, and the honey store there on Bridge Street. We had a booth set up beside it, and we did fritters, and the family, somebody in the family did fritters for years. And I know Nathan, my oldest son, did them for quite a few years, and then Lucas got a little older, and he and Nathan and Lucas did them together. And then we had a cousin from Clifton, Roger Tatum, that came over and helped us cut them up and helped us fry them. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. We miss Roger a whole bunch. But there's a whole lot of work. People don't think about it. They think about a fritter, it's just a fried ball of swamp cabbage and dough, but there's a whole lot of work to go into making that one fritter. And not mentioning any names, but there's some people that sell fritters. They call them swamp cabbage fritters. And basically to me, they're just a hush puppy with a little bit of swamp cabbage in it. Ours have a whole lot of swamp cabbage, and they have a little bit of dough in them. And we've been doing them for years, and we're passing them down to the next generation now, so they can learn to do it.
So that's what it is before you put it in the pot and cook it down.
So we're going to cook it down, yeah.
So that's what you got?
That, and then it's going to be to that. Cooking here, I'm going to put this in there just to store it, because now, then we're going to take, I'm not going to do it right now, but we're going to take this cooked fat back, I just call it fat back, white bacon, and salt pork. They call it salt pork too. But we're going to take this and take a bigger pot and put the raw swamp cabbage in there. And we'll show you that in another scene. And then add the fat back to it and some other seasoning to it, and then boil it down to like a stew. And then we'll show you that in the future.
Well, he's going to continue to do what he's doing and getting this all cooked, and we'll come back to y'all and show you the next part of it.
All right, we've cooked that in the fat back here, and then we cut up the cabbage, the swamp cabbage. She's taking a picture of that over there. And we've got the burner going here, and you need to make sure your cabbage, can you get a overhead shot here? The cabbage is in here, it's a little bit before it's going to start to boil. But you put enough water, make sure you got enough water in there to cover your cabbage that's cut up inside there to start off. You don't want to burn and scald the bottom of the pot and burn the cabbage, and then the whole pot will be ruined. But anyway, so whenever this, I'm gonna go ahead and do it now, but whenever this starts to boil, then I'm gonna just take my spoon, and it's just, there's no certain recipe or measurement or anything like that, but this is what's gonna make this cabbage really taste good, is the white bacon or fat back. And also you get the grease that's in here too. Now this is a slotted spoon's got holes, but it's gonna catch enough grease to get in there. And I'm probably gonna put about 6 spoonfuls. I think that was 3, 4, 5, 6. I said 6, but I'm always superstitious, so I'm gonna say 7. 7's a lucky number. The next step is making it into the fritter mix. You take the cooked cabbage, and you're gonna add eggs and beer and bacon. You already got the bacon in there, and onions, egg, beer, onions. self-rising flour, and then you make it into something like a hush puppy mix. And then you deep fry those in vegetable oil.
Alright guys, so we took a break from working on the swamp cabbage and getting the fritter mix ready because we have to set up all of our tents and everything, and we are currently hanging our sign. You excited for tomorrow?
Okay, I've got all the ingredients out here to make the swamp cabbage fritters. And we have the cooked cabbage here, and we cooked it with the fat back. I think I already showed you that earlier. And then you need eggs, self-rising flour, not all-purpose, self-rising flour, beer, and onions. So first thing to do is, and this cabbage has already been cooked and it's sitting in this tray so it'll cool a little bit, because you don't have to be cool, but we're gonna put it in the refrigerator tonight, and then we're gonna make fritters tomorrow, so we're gonna take it out of the refrigerator in the morning, but we don't want it to spoil, so we let it cool down to room temperature, and then we're gonna make the fritter mix up. So the main thing also is to take the cooked cabbage and get as much water or moisture out of it, because it's going to make the fritters real doughy, real gummy like if it's got more water in it. So the least water as possible you can get in it. And I don't have no exact measurement to tell you how many cups or whatever fritter mix or swamp cabbage you put in here, but I've been doing this using this same little strainer for years, and I learned it from my dad, and he didn't measure either. So I'll show you when we get finished here about how much we're gonna do it one batch at a time. Then I'm gonna put probably about 6 eggs in there. Let me get my bucket over here. And that amount. And that's what I say about measurements. Some people you talk to, they might put more eggs in it. The eggs are a binding agent. They bind with the flour to make the fritters stick together. If you just put it in there without the eggs, it'd just fall apart. It wouldn't fry up into a ball like it's supposed to be. So we're gonna, like I say, sometimes I might say, well, maybe I need another egg. You know, that's just not that I've got a lot of experience, but that's just my experience telling me that. I probably didn't, like I think I am. I'm gonna put 7 eggs in this one. That's 5, 6. I'm not the best egg. I can't do it with one hand like these professional chefs can do. But got 7 eggs in there. Then we're gonna take our spoon and mix that in there good together. And the next ingredient after is onions. Onions, a lot of people don't put onions in their swamp cabbage fritters. But I learned this from my dad too. Learned everything from my dad about doing these fritters. But I think the onions really make the fritters. And you can put too much, but it's not a real onion. Don't taste like onion rings. It just gives it a good flavor and enhances the flavor, adding the onions in there with it. So I got that mixed together. The eggs mixed in there pretty good. And here again, don't measure. My wife Renee's already cut up the onions. I didn't have to do that, so I wouldn't have to cry tonight. But probably put like about 3 of these big spoonfuls of onions in there. That's probably plenty.
And we're making the fritter mix tonight, but we're not going to make the fritters until the festival tomorrow, and we'll sell them tomorrow.
Right.
So we'll have the fritters that we're making, and we'll have funnel cakes up there.
We use this. I use this big bowl. I got this from my dad. I don't know where he got it eventually, or first got it from, but it gives you a lot of room to make big strokes and mix it up real good, and then we use beer. And beer cooks out of it. I don't drink beer myself, but it gives it a good flavor, and it like beer battered fish is real good and stuff like that. But we've always used beer in the fritter mix. And
it doesn't matter what kind of beer you get.
No, I didn't actually get the cheapest. I just went and grabbed some tonight. And then you use the self-rising flour last. And tomorrow, when we start cooking the fritters, we'll have to add more because it'll like it's, well, I guess it comes out of the cabbage itself and all, but there'll be more moisture in here. And you don't want the fritter. I'll show you when we get finished here what kind of consistency you want it to be, the batter to be. And like I know a lot of people have had hush puppies, and you want it kind of that consistency like the hush puppy is going to be before it's cooked and all. So it looks like I put a bunch of flour, but it's all going to mix in there together pretty good. And then what we'll do is put this in a container that we can put in the refrigerator till tomorrow. And like Kaylin said, then tomorrow we'll be frying the fritters. I should have had a scoop here, but we got a little, it's called a sherbet scoop, and it's like an ice cream scoop, but it's a little small. It's about that big, and it makes a ball about that big when you scoop out the fritter mix out there and then put it in the hot oil. We deep fat fry it in hot oil, and it usually takes just a couple of minutes and then in the oil there, and we use a scoop like this to scoop them out of the oil, and just you got one guy dipping them in and you got another guy scooping them out, or another person scooping them out.
I'm hoping to have time to show y'all all that, so we'll have that later on in the video.
So that consistency is pretty good, and that's how I don't know if it's going to show on the camera or not, but
you can see pretty good, I think.
That's what we're going to do. And like you take the scoop in there, we actually had a smaller bowl because you don't have to hold this big bowl the whole time or whatever. But you usually got that smaller bowl in your hand here, and you use a scoop and scoop it out and drop it in the oil, drop it in the oil, drop it in the oil. And that's how we do it.
All right, so we're back the next morning, and today is the day of the festival, so we are just getting everything set up. Last night we got the tents and some of the tables, but today we have to like put the grease in the fryer and get the powdered sugar ready for the funnel cakes and just do all the last minute things that we have to do today. But the parade starts at what, like 10? Yes, 10. Starts at 10. So we still got a little bit until we're gonna be like super busy, but we gotta get everything set up. So let's go ahead and do that now. Alright guys, so now the parade has started, and I hope y'all can hear me because it's pretty loud out, but already got people walking around with fritters, selling funnel cakes, so we got the ball rolling now. I'll video them cooking fritters and us cooking funnel cakes in a little bit, but for now, I'm just gonna video the parade.
Combined into one.
Cooking okay?
See, and that's the little scoop Grandpa was talking about yesterday. Just scoop it up and right in the fryer.
Just a small ice cream scoop, and we just ball it up, drop it into the fryer.
And like we've been saying this whole video, they've got a lot of experience and they've been doing this a long time, so.
Right, that's right. My grandpa's dad taught us all how to do it, and Uncle Nathan, my brother, and we've been able to pass it down, and we're passing it to everybody, and all y'all know.
the parade.
Swamp Cabbage!
How long do they usually like cook for?
Well, we cook them on about 350 to 375, and they're only in there for maybe, I would say, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, depending on what the temperature is and how many we have in there at one time. But when we don't have a whole lot in there like we do right now, it usually takes about 4 minutes at 350.
Have you been pretty busy so far?
I have only looked back twice, so been pretty busy. Been doing this the whole start since we got here. Just been dipping.
We got a long way to go too.
Got a long way to go. Got a lot of cabbage to get rid of here. Got a lot of hungry bellies to feed.
I've been hearing people walk by saying that they're gonna come get your fritters because they're the best.
That's what I heard. I heard they've been keeping it country.
If you want any of our merch, you can go to keepitcountry5.com and check it out. Are those shirts on the website? I don't know if those shirts are on the website, but we have a bunch of other t-shirts, hoodies. My halters are on there, so make sure you go and check it out. All right, guys, so we have the buggies going through now, and that's my brother's buggy, and he's supporting his business with a straight line ag. Oh yes, the buggy is for sale. Alright, so that is all the funnel cake mix we have left, and then we are sold out, and Lucas is just sitting there because he sold out like, what, an hour ago? He's been sold out for a while. He has 3 whole cabbage left, but we still haven't been down to the park, but we're going to stay open and try to sell the rest of these funnel cakes. But so far, it was a good swamp cabbage.
Followed by number 1 and number 2. 4 on the outside. 4 on the outside coming down the line. Number 4, Fast Eddie. Fast Eddie's in the move, followed by number 1. Number 4, the lead. Number 4, the winner. If you got a winning ticket, oh.
Number 5's going to win.
Number 4.
Okay, so number 5 in fact did not win. Alright guys, so it is the next day and we came up here to the park. We brought Ruger and we got some permanent jewelry done and we just kind of hung out a little bit, but it is now time to go home. So hopefully y'all like this video. Hopefully y'all learned a lot and y'all know now what swamp cabbage is and that we do the fritters and kind of just have a whole backstory on the festival. And I really hope y'all enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, but remember, whatever you do, keep it country.